Hey, what's up everyone? So today we're going to cover something that we haven't really talked a lot about on this channel. Mastering the skill that we're going to talk about today can make you a lot of money in this trade. So in this video, we're going to show you two different setups for the same part and how each setup can have its own pros and cons depending on what you're looking for. So you guys may remember this part that we made in a previous video a few months ago. If you didn't watch that video, check out the link in the description below. Now in that video, I talk about my entire process of this part, but I was only making 5 parts. If you don't know if you'll ever have a part come back to your shop, your process is going to be completely different than if you were making 1,000 parts or even 1,000,000 parts. Op 1 was with 2 vices and hard jaws. And Op 2, I did make some custom soft jaws for those vices, but that's just because the part was oddly shaped and I wanted to be able to hold it securely. But I didn't put a lot of effort into the design of these soft jaws. It would take me more time to do that than it was worth getting the part out the door, because you don't know if you're going to see that part again, right? Now here is our production fixture. Now, as you can see, we're doing Op 1 and Op 2 all on the same fixture versus our vice work where we were doing all of Op 1, taking those jaws off, putting Op 2 jaws on, and then machining Op 2. Now the cons here would be the time and the money it would take in order to develop a fixture like this. Obviously, we've got hardware we need to purchase, material, there's going to be design time and manufacturing time. Now where this does make sense is in the production environment where I've got a ton of parts to make, because now I can spread that cost out over many parts. But probably the biggest pro I can think of is spindle utilization. A fixture like this is going to allow me to walk away and do other things while my machine is running. When we talk about automation, we like to think about robots and pallet systems, but honestly, keeping this machine running is what true automation looks like. Hey guys, real quick, we get asked all the time how we're able to bring videos like this to you every week with free educational content, and the short answer is we do it through selling machines just like this Syil X9. If you're interested in this machine or others just like it, check out our website for more info or send an email to keith@titansofcnc.com and he'll get you taken care of. Back to the video. So let's start talking about the design of this fixture and how that benefits us in the production environment. First, we're going to look at Op 1. We're using Mighty Bite pit bull clamps. Now we love these clamps because they offer an extremely low profile and a lot of clamping force. Now that low profile is helping us in the sense that we don't have to order a lot of excess material. These can hold on 50, 75, maybe even 100 thousandths of material versus maybe having to order a whole 1/4 inch or so extra material just to hold on to. Right there, we're saving in material costs and we're not sacrificing any on our clamping force. Because remember, roughing is where you make your money, finishing is where you lose your money. As you know, here at Titans, we like to get after it with our tools. By putting pit bulls on both sides of the part, we're able to really get after it without having to worry that we're going to pull our part out of our fixture. Since these pit bulls have a little bit of throw, if we just throw this down on top of the fixture without having some type of way of locating it, we're going to skew our part. So we've machined a pocket in here to help guide our material for when we're clamping our pit bulls in order to keep the part straight. Now Op 2 is where fixturing turns into an art, because now we're dealing with finished surfaces. We're also dealing with features that might have tight tolerances machined from one op. Now you need to locate that to a second op. And when we're talking about production, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time indicating something in every time we change a part out. Now what we've done here with our fixture is we're utilizing the holes that we're machining in Op 1 and we're using those to clamp the part and also to locate the part for Op 2. That's where these ID expansion pins come in. Now when I did these parts in the vise setup, I had to really pay attention to how hard I was clamping them because I could end up distorting the part. With a setup like this, I can just pop these on here, clamp these down and go, and it's perfectly located and I'm not putting any unwanted stress into the part. So what we're looking for with subsequent operations is something that's secure but also repeatable without damaging those finished surfaces from our first operation. So up until this point, we've really only focused on the difference in the fixturing. Let's hop over into SolidCAM and talk about some of the things we can do with our programming. Now, when we're in the prototype environment, we don't have a lot of time to spend getting our programs the most efficient. It's all about getting those parts out the door. But when you're in a production environment, that's where you want to spend a lot of time on your process and your program to not only be efficient, but also be stable. So I'm adding probing at the beginning of the program to probe my work offsets on every single part. Now, SolidCAM makes it really easy to add probing into our program. It's just an operation that we can select. As you can see, I have several different options that I can choose from. Now, this first one is just a G54, so I'm setting off a raw stock, so I'm using a boss here. I can select my probe, I come in and select my technology, and I can select where I want to touch that part. For my G55, I'm actually using a hole to come in and touch off on this bore from my first operation. Now, I could definitely add in-process inspection to this part if I wanted, because the more I can do here in automatic operation, the less I'm gonna have to do manually. Another thing we need to think about is batching operations. I might have one tool that cuts on both Op 1, Op 2, Op 3, Op 4, whatever it may be. So what I want to do is batch those together so we're saving on tool change time. So in addition to the machine, the work holding, the tooling, and all of that, you need to consider having a good CAM software like SolidCAM that has the powerful tools necessary to go from prototype to production machining, because there's a lot of customization that you might want to add to your program, and some generic softwares might not have that ability. Now, I could spend all day talking about what we need to add to the program to make a production process more stable, but we'll save that for a later date. Let's get back over to the machine and talk about some machine-specific things to think about when you're going to a production environment. Now, aside from the programming, another thing that you need to consider is the machine itself. Now, some of us are going to be stuck with the machines that we already have in the shop, but you might find yourself in another situation where this is a new part, new job that you've gotten, and you need to buy a machine to match it to that part or the quantities that you're doing. Because buying a new machine might be more cost effective than the ones you already have in your shop. So for that, I would really consider, maybe if you've always ever done verticals in your shop, maybe switch to something like a horizontal, because a horizontal machine is really good for production on most cases, unless you need to get into the 5-axis world. Typically, you have a tombstone that you can have 2 to 4 sides that you can fix your parts on. But more than that, it's the fact that gravity is going to work with you instead of against you. Typically, your parts are standing up on a tombstone, and as you're machining, those chips are falling away from your part, helping you out there and to not damage your part, keeping it clean, and saving your tools. But if you are going to stick with a vertical 3-axis machine, you really need to consider that chip evacuation. So that is where something like a high pressure through spindle coolant system is really going to be beneficial. Now, I personally would never buy a machine without it. When you're talking about high speed drilling, pocketing, it's really going to be beneficial to you, and the cost is going to be insignificant at that point. So another thing we can do there is put in a chip fan. We can put in a subsequent operation, maybe before our finishing work, to clear those chips away so we don't end up damaging our part or breaking our tool. And I'm sure that some of you have already went to the comments and called me out. This fixture is not the best production fixture of all time for this part, because this right here is just one step above vice work. There's a lot you can do to improve upon this, and one of those things is matching this fixture setup to your machine. And as you can see, I'm still leaving space on this table. I could probably put 2 Op 1s and 2 Op 2s here, get that cycle time even longer and more time for me to walk away and do other things. Now, another thing I can do with this is I can make it modular. I can create locating mechanisms there and make this as a subplate. That way, as soon as that program's done, I open that door, I unbolt it, I pull one out, I pull the next one in, close the door, hit cycle start. So that's really minimizing my downtime, and I'm utilizing that time that it's actually cutting into changing the parts that are finished. So these are all great things that you can do when going from prototype work to production work. So I hope this video has really helped you out here and things to think about when going from prototype work to production. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and comment down below. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content just like this. We'll see you on the next one.